Well, it was only about a couple of hours ago we heard from former President Jim Carter's son announcing his passing. Essentially, we know that Carter had been receiving hospice care since February of 2023 at his home in Plains, Georgia, where he used to live with his wife until she passed just over a year ago. So this is, and we know that he hasn't really made public appearances, not many of them since then. We know that he was already dealing with some health issues, but it is, of course, interesting that he had just celebrated his centennial, essentially reaching his 100th birthday, and in fact becoming the first U.S. president to do so. We've initially heard from President Joe Biden right away, mourning Carter's death, saying, "The world lost an extraordinary leader, statesman, and humanitarian." He also went ahead to say that he lost a dear friend. Biden cited Carter's compassion and moral clarity, and also his work, humanitarian work around the world, which he did in order to eradicate this, disaster relief work, forging peace in Middle East, in other parts of the world, as well as advancing civil and human rights works rather. So there was a long list of achievements listed by President Biden, praising Carter's long life of achievements.
It is. You just cited remarks from U.S. President Joe Biden. Tell us more about domestic and international reactions so far.
Well, there's a long list, essentially. Everybody has been issuing statements acknowledging Carter's critical role, not just in the U.S. Politics and in the world stage, but really the fact that he's dedicated much of his life to international work in much of the world has been acknowledged today. On top of the president, we've also heard from former President Clinton and his wife, sharing a statement on Sunday afternoon commemorating, again, Carter's commitment to civil rights, environmental conservation, and his efforts to broker peace internationally. We've also heard from the Obamas. They've also issued a statement from the Sunday church service where they were at, saying, motivated by his strong faith and values, President Carter redefined the post-presidency with a remarkable commitment to social justice and human rights, both at home and abroad. That was the statement coming from the British Prime Minister earlier. And of course, it's not limited there. I'm just going to give you a short summary, but we are hearing statements from really much of the world because Carter was a president. Yes, he's done a lot here at home, but much of his work had continued internationally long after he left the White House.
It was during Jimmy Carter's tenure, China and U.S. saw formalization of their bilateral ties. Tell us more about his role in this milestone.
Well, clearly, this is one of the most remarkable achievements of his whole political career, especially at the world stage, because it was exactly 45 years ago, really at the height of the Cold War, we're talking about, when former U.S. President Jimmy Carter, along with the then Chinese Vice Premier Deng Xiaoping, both of these leaders essentially looked beyond their nation's many differences at the time, and they managed to find some common ground. And that's how they essentially normalized diplomatic relations between their countries on January 1st, 1979, which was considered a very strategic, a very visionary move on both sides by both leaders at the time, because up until 79, of course, we're talking about two countries that had really been estranged to each other geopolitically. They were in completely different places, with the U.S. essentially imposing trade embargoes and forbidding Americans to even travel to China. And of course, all of that changed with this move established by both President Carter and then Vice Premier Deng, who believed that this kind of a rapprochement would really make the world a safer place and benefit both the U.S. as well as China.
So overall, it is. What are the Americans saying about Jimmy Carter's legacy?
Well, essentially, he served one term, and when he actually left the Oval Office, ironically, he had one of the lowest approval ratings in U.S. history. When he lost that bid for a re-election in '81, this was really seen as a major defeat. But moving from that, Carter and his wife, the then First Lady, of course, they established what's for many years known as the Carter Center, a nonprofit that really worked to promote peaceful resolutions to many conflicts around the world, advancing democracy as well as human rights and social justice. Now, one of the most important achievements here, of course, is the fact that he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002 for his works on human rights all around the world. Of course, we are really talking about at many levels here. At home, here in the United States, he was known to be a president, or rather, in his post-presidency, he was seen as very proactive, doing a lot of development work for the underprivileged communities. He was known to be involved in many sort of building of affordable housing units for nonprofit organizations like Habitat for Humanity. And through this organization, looking abroad, he was involved in a long array of humanitarian works, whether in conflict zones, disaster areas. He was very active worldwide. In fact, I, as a journalist, met him in Jerusalem in one of his many trips to the region that he continued to take part, even in his 90s, when he was still looking for a peaceful resolution, a two-state agreement between Israel and Palestine. Of course, it has been a long dream of his that still hasn't come true. But looking at his past, his achievements, he certainly, some here in the United States will call him actually the greatest ex-president of America, mainly because of his 4 decades long humanitarian work covering much of the world.